Welcome everyone to the non-spoiler review of Six of Crows by Lee Bardugo. Yes, I know, I'm out of order, but leave me alone. I'm your host, Leanne. This is part of a series called The Six of Crows, and it is involved in the Grishaverse. About the series, The Six of Crows by Lee Bardugo returns to the breathtaking world of the Grishaverse in its unforgettable tale about the opportunity and the adventure of a lifetime. Meet Kaz Burger and his crew, Jesper, Injun, Waylon, and the star-crossed Nina and Matthias. Yeah, there you go. So what made me read this book? It sounded interesting. And it's been hyped up, so I just wanted to see what was worth the hype. So, the blurb. Ketterdam, a bustling hub of international trade where anything can be had for the right price, and no one knows that better than the criminal prodigy Kaz Burger. Kaz is offered a chance at a deadly heist that could make him rich beyond his wildest dreams, but he can't pull it off alone. A convict with a thirst for revenge. I'm going to tell you who these people are because I figured it out, and if you didn't, well, you should. A sharpshooter who can't walk away from a wager. A runaway with a privileged past. A spy known as the Wraith or the Wrath, whichever one you want to say. A heartrender using her magic to survive the slums. A thief with a gift for unlikely escapes. Kaz's crew are the only ones who might stand between the world and destruction if they don't kill each other first. So there you go. An impossible heist by thieves, criminals, and a witch hunter falsely imprisoned. What could possibly go wrong? A lot. The setup of the characters was done differently than the other books. Each chapter explores different characters, and their motives are laid down through that. Freedom, money, revenge, that sort of thing. The characters reacted to the situation uniquely because each has a different background that brought them to this point in the story, the very reason they are going on the heist in the first place. The genre is considered to be teen, young adult fantasy. Did this live up my expectations? Yes, it was really interesting. I love the universe that the heist took place in. I didn't care for the heist. Which character did I really like? None. Which secondary character stood out the most? Yeah. Inja. Because of how she keeps her faith even after everything that happened to her. What was more important, the characters or plot? The characters and the plot was second place. There are multiple voices, because there are 7 of them altogether, and in third person. Should you go and read this story / series? Yes, if you like the mythical land and a dangerous heist with multiple voices, I'd go read it. Or if you've read the Shadow and Bone trilogy or the King of Scars, I don't see why you wouldn't just read Six of Crows, because it's in the same universe. So, as you're leaving, because you don't want to be spoiled, why don't you leave a drop, comment, a like, the description, like here's some lingo that you need to know, because I needed to know. And they give it to you in the first page for a lot of it, some of it. So the Grisha, they're people born with the abilities that allow them to control certain things in the land of, and those are corporal key, ethereal key, and material key. Now, the Grisha live in the land of Ravka. That's their land, which is right next to another land, and we'll get to that one in a minute. So the corporal key, they're the ones that can either heal someone or kill them. They have heartrenders, those that learn to kill and fight, and then healers, those that can heal. They can also tailor people's looks on a terrible thing that they should never take. They can do so much damage because they are more connected to their powers, but it does cost their lives in the end. The ethereal key are summoners. They're squallers. I'm not really sure on what squallers do besides they fight and fly. Inferni, which can control fire, and time makers, those that can control water and fly, of course. Time makers on this terrible drug can also become mist and walk through walls. Material key are the ones that can control materials. They're called fabricators. They can extract ores from objects and create fabrics and a lot of other stuff. Shu is a country of tan-skinned people. where some people are like freedoms that walk around and go place to place, you know. The Fyrja, or Fyrdians, are blonde people who train wolves. These people don't believe Grisha should live and call them witches. They use Grisha to create their ice fortress, which is called the Ice Palace. What do you call the ice fort? Ice Court. Which is in Darushalhum. Yeah, the Ice Court. Novi Zem, or the Zemini, a country that allows people to be people. I don't really know much else about them. Kirdam, as you know, is an island city and is a city that sits on an island for merchants and traders to make money, and where the barrel exists. The barrel is an area of Kirdam that is run by thieves and criminals, so you better watch out. Jirda is a drug that calms one down. I always think it's a drug. It's a sweet drug that people use. Jirda Param is a drug that brings out everything in a Grisha to the fullest. It is addictive and will end a Grisha's life. Harinkala, a festival to celebrate new recruits for the Dreskel forces. Dreskel, those that are trained to hunt and catch Grisha and torture them. Dijel is the Fernan's god. Baleen is something that allows people to breathe in the water for 10 minutes after being popped, which they use. Stay in guard. Stay and watch. They're guards. Okay, so, Yumi, in one of the chapters, in Juice, he is a stay at watch who's assigned to guard a merchant's home. Aya, an indentured Grisha to the councilman Hode, was given Jirda Perm. She forced every guard and soldier, including Juice, in this Councilman Hode's household to wait and made Councilman Hode cut off his own finger. And they waited until they died. Because in one part of the book, two people go in and, well, Van Eyck and Kaz go in because Van Eyck wants to show what Jirda Pram can do for a healer. And Juiced, because we know it's Juiced, who collapses and dies. You meet Red Evenko, an indentured Grisha to the Councilman Hode that had been a Ravkan soldier. I don't know. I think he's going to be important. Maybe in the second one, because, I don't know. I just feel like something about him is important in some way, shape, or form. Then you have Councilman Hode. The merchant who Juice was assigned to protect, he used your prom on 2 of his Grecian indentures, and didn't think the healer was going to be dangerous. Turns out she was the most dangerous one of all. Okay, so how should I do this? There's a lot of people on this list, and I did not put all any of them together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about. We'll talk about Nina Zenki. She is a Grisha heartrender of the Second Army of Ravka. She falsely accused Matthias Helver as a slave trader. In order to protect him from the Second Army, she wanted to get Matthias out of prison and tried to recant her story. She joined the Dregs. She took the Jirda Pram at the end of their heist to help them escape and put to sleep a lot of Driscoll, including Jarl Brum, who she actually wanted to kill. Okay, so connected to her is Zoya Nazyalensky, Nina's superior, who was teaching her things out in the field and told her not to leave the area, but she did anyways, and that's how she got captured by Matthias Helver in the first place, and met Jarl Brum, a cruel man that took joy in torturing Grisha. He wanted to use them to kill off other Grisha until all Grisha die, and he was going to he tortures them too. He's very, very, very into it, and he loves it. And he recognized Nina, even though the last time he saw Nina was filthy in the cargo of his ship. Matthias Helver is a Dreskel that was accused of being a slaver without knowing why. It happened after him and Nina saved each other from a terrible shipwreck and traveling to a city with a ship. He was planning on getting her home, but she realized danger and he didn't know it. He knew things about the ice court where the heist was to take place, and thus that's why he was broken out of prison. He betrayed his people and country when he realized that the Grisha were not all evil. So, Nina is a heartrender using her magic to survive the slums, and Matthias is a convict with a thirst for revenge. So that's two of the people for the heist. Next we'll do Jesper. Jesper is actually a Grisha fabricators who hides his ability from everyone but Kaz. He borrowed money and was having his father's farm threatened, so he put it into jeopardy. He took on the heist to be able to afford the payoff to stop any harm from happening to his father or his father's farm. He enjoys gambling and shooting guns. It makes him feel very much alive. He is a sharpshooter who can't walk away from a wager. So that's the third one. Now we have Inja Gahafa. She has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blades, and those are called Sankt Petri, Sankt Alina, Sancta Alina, Sancta Mara, Sancta Anastasia, Sankt Vladimir, Sancta Elisabetta. She's a shoe girl that had been kidnapped while napping in her parents' caravan. She was sold into slavery and forced to work at a pleasure house. Kaz had per Heskel buy her contract and began teaching her how to spy, pick locks, and be quick on her feet. She became known as the Wrath, or Wraith, whichever one you want to call it. Her goal in the end, for the money, because at first she couldn't figure out why, besides following Kaz, that she wanted to do what she wanted to do, was to buy a ship, learn how to sail, and hunt down slavers to stop them from selling off other people. She is actually a spy known as the Wrath, obviously. Her connection that she has in this list of people is Helene van Hoden, or Tante Helene. She owns the pleasure house where she buys girls and forces them to work for her. She's the one who bought Ingen and made her work for her. She's a very cruel woman. Tortured the women. She tortured them. Van Eyck is the councilman that hired Kaz and his crew to break out Boyul Bayur, the creator of the Jurda harem. He betrayed Kaz and his crew, and he wanted to betray the council because he wants to take over the council and reap all the money. He has a tie maker called Mika that works for Van Eyck and had been given Jurda harem, so he was like a rat. He actually kidnapped Kaz. Then you have Van Eyck's son, Waylon Van Eyck, son of Van Eyck, of course. He was kidnapped. He was kicked out of his father's house because he could not read or write. Very good at everything else, but could not read or write. He was good at explosions. He was taken on by Kaz. He allows his face to be permanently transformed into a lookalike of Kuei Yul Bo to trick Van Eyck and to figure out what his father really thought of him. By the way, Jesper and Waylon, they have a little going on. I was wondering why it was labeled LGBTQT plus or whatever you want to call it, and that's why. Because Ingen loves Kaz. Kaz loves Ingen. Matthias and Nina, obviously, and Jesper and Waylon. So Waylon is the runaway with a privileged past. Okay. So now we have all but one. A thief with a gift for unlikely escapes, which is Kaz. Kaz Berger, or Dirty Hands, also known as Kaz Rietveld. Though he cast away Rietveld when he became Breaker. He's a criminal that leads a group of thieves on a heist of the century. Kaz cannot stand to be touched by anyone because of his trauma with his brother's dead body and others. He had used his brother's dead, bloated body to swim back to Ketterdam from the bridge. What's it called? The land bridge, where people's bodies are burnt, where dead bodies are burnt from Ketterdam. In order to survive. So he survived the disease that actually killed his brother. He swore vengeance on the one responsible for his brother's death, which he learned was Pekka Rollings, who used a fake name. So Jordi Rietveld is Kaz's older brother who was duped by Pekka and then lost everything they owned and ended up dying. Well, he ended up dying from the disease that he would most likely not have gotten if they had not lived on the streets at that time. Then you have the one that Kaz joined up with to become part of the crew so he could have a way to build himself up to be able to destroy Pekka Rollins, and that was Per Heskel. He runs the Drags crew that Kaz, Ingen, Nina, Jesper, and Waylon belong to, as well as Muzen. Muzen is only in it because he takes the place of Matthias Helver in Hellgate prison because he's about the same size as Matthias. Okay, then you have the last two of them we'll talk about. No, there's Spec. Sorry. Spec commands a boat that was used by Kaz to get to Fjord and escape in it, and he's also part of the Dregs crew. So now there's only two left. You have Bo Yul Bayur. He is the creator of the Jitter Prom. In order to help his son hide his abilities, except it did not work as intended. He was killed trying to protect his son. He is actually a Grisha and a fabricators. Now, Kue Yul Bo is the son of Bo Yul Yarm. He's just a kid, about 14, 15 years old, around the same age as those are, because they're like 17, 18 in this. All of the people are in this. They're like 17 and 18. They're just teenagers. He is actually an Inferni, and his father was trying to help him suppress his powers in order to protect him, because he's Grisha. A lot of surprises, a lot of Grishas in here, because a lot of people did not know Jesper was a Grisha. That was a surprise when I read about it. So the 7 voices within the stories are Juice, Kaz, Ingen, Nina, Matthias, and Pekka. And Jesper. Forget about Jesper. Pekka's only in one chapter, Juice is on one chapter. So the first chapter is Juice, the last chapter is Pekka. The rest is like a switch between Matthias, Ingen, Nina, Kaz, and Jesper. No, there is no Waylon. You don't get Waylon's point of view. Which is really strange. But whatever. So, my favorite character was Ingen. She was a girl who was scared of her past, but eventually conquered it. And yes, I probably am saying her name wrong. Do I care? No. If you want me to be able to say a person's name right, make it easier to say. Okay? My most disliked character was Van Eck. He used Kaz and the others because he knew they wanted money. So he betrayed them so he could get his hands on the person who created the Jitter Prom. So he wanted to take control of the Grisha to take over the Merchant Council and rule it all so he could have money. It was told in chronological order, but with It was told in chronological order, but with flashbacks of Nina, Kaz, Ingen, and Matthias, and how they became the way they were at the beginning of the book. It had appropriate language for the type of book it was. There was foreshadowing, but honestly, I cannot pinpoint anything that stood out personally to me. The suspense was well done because there were many points in the book that made me question whether anything the crew did would either be successful or end in their deaths. Like a lot of points, okay? The background is explained enough to understand and even extended on for all of the main and side characters, those being Jesper, Matthias, Kaz, Waylon, Nina, and Ingen. The one thing I would like to point out in this book is that you don't actually read them meeting up like Kaz, Nina, Matthias, and Kue. You don't read them meeting up with Nina, Waylon, and Jesper, and Ingen. You don't read, not Nina, Jesper, Waylon, and Ingen. You don't read them meeting up, which is a little confusing to me. Because they get out of the water, and then all of a sudden they're with the tank. Like, what the hell? When did they get picked up? When? Because I did not skip pages. So the title of the book meant 6 people were flying high to accomplish anything no one else could. And of course, crows is what the drag symbol is. Their tattoo. I don't know why, but it is. What stood out as memorable was the world. It is a well-built world. It's very well built. Okay, I didn't know at first that it was a second story set in the Grishaverse, and it would explain how it was developed, but that gave it an advantage in my book because the world was already laid down. So when I do read Shadow and Bone trilogy, I will have already had a groundwork because this world, and I will understand and take into consideration that that is her building the world, and this one's already been built. My favorite passage from the story is she was not a lynx or a spider or even the rat. She was Inja Gaffa, and her future was waiting above. And this is when she was climbing the chimney, the incinerator, with a pair of gloves, melting shoes, and being blind. She had no help. So I thought that was very, very, very good, because she decided then and there that she was nothing but herself. My favorite quote: "I will have you without armor, Kazberger, or I will not have you at all." Mentioned to Kaz, because Kaz's like, "I want you to stay in Ketterdam. I want you to stay with me because I want you." But she's like, "I cannot have you if we cannot be together as a couple, if I cannot touch you flesh to flesh." That's what she's saying. Because he hates touching people's flesh because it reminds him of his bloated brother's body. Which I understand, trauma, but you need to work it out if you want to be with a woman. Like, if you want to be with her, you gotta work that out. You gotta figure it out. You gotta get it right. What I thought about the ending of the book, holy fuck. The crew is still alive. I'm thankful for that. And did make it back safe. Although, Kaz, why in the hell would you allow Injin to be captured? Kidnapped? Why did you make mistakes? Why? Why? Now I have to read the next book of the duology, which is Crooked Kingdom. But I don't have the book, so I have to wait until I pull it out, and then I'll go buy it. That's how it goes. The book, as you know, is part of a series called Six of Crows, and it is a duology, and it is set in the Grishaverse universe. The Grisha universe. I rate this at 3.5 because of the world and characters. I did not mind the plot, but what I did not like was the over-explaining of most of the characters' past and the reason they are the way they are. Because, I mean, like, you didn't have to do a lot of that explaining. You could have done more briefly. Like, when Matthias makes Nina speak about how she betrayed him after he was going to bring her home to the whole crew. And then how she explains to Helver how it happened. I don't care about the fact that they had to come in here beforehand. We realized that something happened to them that led up to a certain point. All you need to explain why they were at each other's throat at that time. That's it. Same with Cats. You didn't need to go into the full background of how Jordy got duped and everything. You could just say Jordy got duped and Kaz hates touching people because of what happened to Jordan. I didn't need to know all the gruesome details. Although some people probably did enjoy it. I thought it was a little too much. Especially since it was like restating that fact sometimes. Like, once you gave us the details about what was going on, you reflected back on it and stated back on it. And you just could have just kept the reflections and the stated backs and not given us the actual flashbacks. That's all you needed to do. But if you think it deserves a like, comment, or even your lovely subscription, drop it down below. I will see you next illusion.